throwing in another spade full of mud, reaching down and patting it. He started by filling in around Kenny and Hardy, making sure they're kept firmly in place. Now he's filling up the rest of the empty space in the too wide, too shallow grave. And now, with the sweat starting to trickle down his back in an annoying manner, he's dropping the mud on top of the bodies. He's immune to the effects now. Once upon a time he might have been moved by the thought of burying a man he knows. Didn't know Kenny well, but saw him around the club a lot, always said hello. Kenny was a grass. He created this ending for himself when he started talking to the police. There's no sympathy. You do the job, and you keep your focus. Calum's not used to this intensity of work. He's done burials, of course, but usually with a second pair of hands. He does the killing, and they're happy to do the spade work. Most people will do anything to avoid being the one who pulls the trigger. The lackey of choice to accompany him on this job turned out to be Kenny, for reasons that were never explained to the driver himself. Jameson called Calum into his office, went through the job proposal in all its unfortunate glory. Killing the money man was no big deal. Usually Calum would have asked for George Daly, a Jameson employee, to come along with him on the job. He's forgiven George for ruining his relationship with Emma. It wouldn't have been George's idea to interfere. Would have been Jameson's, or, more likely, Young's. Protecting their investment in their number one gunman. Get rid of the girl who's become a part of his life. A good gunman needs to be isolated. He doesn't hate George for scaring her away. He just hates the life he has to live. Stop thinking about it. For God's sake, keep your focus. So much to do. Tonight will be busy. The next few days will be busy. Concentrate on getting the soil into the awkward little gaps between the bodies and the wall of the grave. Use every available inch of space. Filling in fast, arms starting to burn. The sweat's running off him now, forcing him to accept that the donkey work that's so often done by others isn't as easy as it looks. This is going to take longer than anticipated. How the hell does George fill these things in so fast? He's been working at this for more than 10 minutes and Calum's only just covered the bodies. Another 5 minutes to fill it up completely. It looks okay though. Not much of a mound, if any at all. Certainly nothing that'll be out of place in this bumpy area. Now the turf at the top. What a bloody mess Kenny made of it. Jesus, look at it. His last job and Kenny fucked it up. In a typical burial, you have 4 or 5 strips of turf, usually 3 or 4 feet long. Done well, you can be left with only a couple of strips, carefully rolled up and then rolled back out again when you're relaying them. Depends on the turf. Kenny, in his infinite wonder, has managed to hack it into at least 20 pieces. No time to stop and count. Calum could almost believe that Kenny had done it on purpose. Pick out the pieces, push them in hard against the undisturbed turf at the edge. Work your way across from one side to the other, pushing them in as tight as possible, sometimes tucking a piece under the edge of its neighbour. Make sure every piece is returned, and that the final picture is as close to its original state as possible. Calum stepping back and looking at his work. Not good. Thank you very much, the late Kenny McBride. It's an obvious patchwork. It will knit together in time, maybe quite quickly. The hope is that nobody stumbles across it before it does. It's not perfect, and that's going to nag at Calum. Too much work to do to stand and worry. It's done. He's throwing his own and Kenny's shovels